Hello everyone, I welcome you on behalf of Securum Solutions YouTube channel once again for Python for penetration testing. We will learn in here where we left yesterday, and the topic operations, mathematical operations, Boolean operations, data type conversions and debugging. In here we have mathematical operations to complete first, and where we left in our school grades we have addition, subtractions, all the stuffs, and Booleans operations we have the truth table, false and true conditions with various logical operators and or operators, and we have data type conversions, how you can convert various datas and from one data type to another data type, for example conversion of integer to strings and all like that, and we have debugging also. We'll see that. So now I'll open Ubuntu machines. I have the Ubuntu machines readily available in here. You can perform on with your Windows machines or any Python console that you have. Okay, so I've just run Python 3 in here, and I'm going to do some basic arithmetical operations that we have done in our school grades, and we'll start with our 3 plus 2 function that will give us 5, obviously the answer, and we can go on with 2 minus 3 minus 1, and we can go on with multiple operations, 4 multiplication 5, 20, and we have 8 divided by 7, that will give us a float value, decimal value. And if I want a reminder, I can go on, that's a quotient, right? If I want a reminder, I can go on with percentage symbol 8 divided by 7, that will give me the reminder for that. And this is very simple, and we can go on with various operations by assigning a value for x first. So x equal to 2 and then y equal 3. Now I'm going to assign z equal x plus or multiplied by 3, x plus y in here, and z will give me the answer in here 5, right? And what I'll do next, I'm going to put these values, and I'm going to display the z value in here. So z value I've displayed, z equal to 5, it is clearly displayed now, and I can go on x plus y multiplied by 5. Why I'm doing this? We need to know the priorities of arithmetic functions. So it give me an answer 17, but how? It should have given me an answer like 25. 2 plus 3 5 multiplied by 5 25, but it is giving me an answer 17. How? That's all because of priorities. So we all have learned about the priorities in our school grades, that comes with BODMAS rule, right? So BODMAS. So that is obviously we have bracket, we have off, we have divisions, we have multiplication and addition and subtraction. So these are priority rule. That's how the program follows. Okay, so if I've given in this way x minus y in the braces multiplied by 5, obviously not subtraction, it's addition, and that gave me an answer 25. So it's very easy, right? So that in this way it has performed the arithmetic operation by the priority of braces. So first it took the values which is in brackets, and then it did the arithmetic operation of x plus y, and then it multiplied with 5 and gave me an answer 25 in here. So that's how the priorities work in programs, and this same priorities that you have to give it up when you are going on with programs and blocks of conditions and all. Okay, and next condition we have in here and the Boolean operations. For that, let me open my Paint in here, and we need to learn Boolean operations, and we need AND operator and OR operator. Everyone must have known about that already, and for someone who don't know, let me explain it once again. And I have two variables in here, x and y, and I have two operators, logical operators and OR operators. So for this is called truth table, and truth table works in the form of false and trues, and zeros are represented as false and ones are represented as true. Okay, and I have in here x, y, and that one is operand and operand. Pardon me for my bad drawing skills. And if I have 0 and 0, then my result will be 0. If I have 0 and 1, my result will be 1. Okay, so if I have 1 and 0, and my answer will be 0. Sorry for that, my mistake, that I have that answer should be 0. Okay, and I have 1 and 0, the answer should be 0. Okay, if I have both the variables containing 1, then my result will be the 1, the exact true condition that I need. And in our condition, it's exactly the opposite. Okay, only one condition, if your condition, any one of your condition is true, then your result will be true. In here both the conditions are false, so my answer will be false. And I have one condition true, and I have received the answer true, that is 1, and here also 1, and both the conditions are true, and here the last one, so I received the true condition 1 in here. Okay, so this is what people call it as truth table. And we have the and or operators, logical operands. We work on with Boolean conditions and Boolean operations. Okay, and we have greater than and smaller than symbols also. You can see if I give x is greater than 10, it gave me an answer false. Obviously x is not greater than 10 because I have assigned a value of 2. Okay, and I can assign in this way, x equal to 10, I have assigned the values. X is greater than 10, and I'm going to do it with the functionality of AND operator. And if I give y is greater than 1, no, we have y equal to 3, so it gave me a result false. That means what? The first condition, the braces, the first set of braces holds the value false, and the second set of value holds true. But the AND operand needs both the conditions to be true. That's why it is returning me an error, not an error, the result with false condition. Okay, if both conditions are true, then I would have received the answer as true. So see, if I use a true OR condition in here, I have received the answer as true because only one condition is true there, so that's why I'm receiving the result as true in here. Okay, so that's very simple. We have Python is very easy to understand in here, and basically this arithmetic operations we have all learned in our school grades. That's very easy for us to understand in here also. Okay, so why we need to understand, we will be using these things in when we go on with our programming, blocks of programming and codes. That's where we use on various conditions, and we will imply these various operands and operations when we go on with conditions. Lots of conditions are yet to come. We have if, else if, like that, so we will learn all these stuffs, the conditions there. Okay, if your value is greater than 10, there we will use this conditions. If your value is lesser than or equal to, there we will use this conditions. Okay, so the parameters operations. So that's why we are learning it in here. The next thing we will do finishing up of conditions in the next sessions, maybe tomorrow. And we have debugging on dictionary the data conversion types also. Can you see this? I'm assigning a value x equal 10. Obviously if I search for the type, what type x is holding, it is an integer. It is really giving me. If I'm assigning the value x equal to the 10, which is in double quotes, that is I'm implying that is this string. If I check the type now, type x, and it is returning me, it's a string, right? Obviously it is in between double quotes. And if I want to change the data type, I want to change the string into integer. So x, I'm introducing a new variable x int, and I'm changing the integer type, I'm changing into integer type for the variable x. Okay, so I'm entering in here x. I haven't changed the value for x, I've just created a new variable, and then I've changed the data type and I've put that into a new variable. Okay, now what I'll do print out that x integer now, and then we can go on with our data type next. Okay, so now if I want to print out x int again, so I just need to type x int in here, right? So that's very simple. And now I'll type x int, and now it is returning me, it's a integer, not a string. Okay, so that's how we do convert our data types from one data type to another data type. And we have lots of data types. We have learned about few in the previous class: tuples, lists, and dictionaries. And we have integer, float, and strings. Okay, lots of data types are there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do some division here. I'm just assigning the value x equal to 3, and here I'm going to 5, and I'm going to divide it by 3, x divided by 3, and it is giving me a float value of 1.666 something. Okay, then I'm going to assign the same value into a variable z, and I've assigned that, and I've got the result 1.666 some multiples of 6. And now I've just checked the type in here, and it is returning me, it's a value of float type, data type of float. And what I need to do, I need to change it in here. What I'm doing, so I'm going to create a new variable int z, and I've changed the whole z variable into integer, and now I just displaying the int z, and it is returning me the integer value, not the float value, and it is just removed all the decimal values, multiples of 6, and it is returning me only 1. And now if I just want to check the type in here, type int z, and it is returning me, it's an integer, not a float. Okay, so this is how we do data conversion in here, and we have debugging topic, next one we need to learn with our text editor. Okay, so we'll see that in here, and we'll move on with our functions after that. Okay, so we have debugger in here. So what is debugger? Debugger is a feature we have that available in our PyCharm. We can use this debugger to check out how our program proceeds, to check out how your program runs when you just right click, and when you do the run program, the age calculator. I have the age calculator in here. I've just made a simple change in this one. Instead of giving the year directly, I'm just asking the input from the user. Okay, I've just added an input function, and I'm using this int date of birth in here as a output from the input of in user, and I'm just adding that in here to calculate the age. So if I just run this program, I'll get the result in here exactly like enter the date of birth. I just need to enter any date of birth. I'm just running 1990, and it will give me, it's a date of birth of a programmer, and your date of birth is 30, and it is returning in this way. This is how your normal program runs. Okay, but when you want to add debugger, when you want to go through with your debugger, this is your debugger option key, and just need to click that, and your debugging options will do. If I just simply press the debugger, it will display the result exactly the same way. Okay, I need to add some breakpoints where you need to break your program code of lines, and where you need to differentiate, where you need to inspect your code. Okay, so how you can add, just by clicking your left click, that will add your breaking points, in your program. Okay, double clicking will disable your breaking points. I want that breaking point to be in the second line, date of birth, the calculation line. That's where the point, the main arithmetic calculation is there, how it calculates the age of a person. Okay, I just want a breakpoint there. Okay, and now what I'll do, I'll just go on in here by clicking that breakpoint. Okay, and 1 second, and then I need to run the debugger now. So once I run the debugger, your debugger will go on with the flow, and it will get stopped in that line. Okay, and can you see, it will ask for the year, and I've entered the year, and it is returning me, and it is stopped at the second line. And once I click this arrow mark, that will step over into the next step. Okay, and the next icon, that is stepping into that particular step, and it will go backward one step with that button. So if I click step forward, and it will go to the next line of code, and it will calculate the age, and it will return me the age. If I just click one more, and it will go to the fourth line. Okay, so that's it. That's how your debugger works. So we will be using debugger in lots of time. We will use this debugger in our upcoming sessions when we create various tools with our keyloggers or different penetration testing tools. We'll use this debugger. So debugger is a tool that helps us in an application to open up at certain location, so that we can look at our variables, our call stack, or for calling up our functions or anything. So we can utilize this one in a very efficient way to get into our code by step. The next topic we have in here in today's session is functions. Okay, for a function, let me create a new file. I'll explain what is function and what we're going to do in function. Okay, so simple function. Okay, so what is a function? Function is a block of code that performs an intended action that a programmer wants to do. That's what function holds. So function can contain any arithmetic operations or anything that a programmer wants to do in a set of block of codes. Okay, so how are we going to create a function, how are we going to call the function, and what's the main thing that we need to look for in a function? So for defining function, you need to go on like this. Okay, so if I just, how this happened, I've just pressed, what I did, I've just typed main and I pressed tab, so it automatically refill the rest of the contents. So this is what your main calling function. Without this, your program will not run. Okay, so and then you need this, and you need to call the function. So this is your main function. For this main function, this is the calling function that calls your main function. So where you need to add your main function, you need to add your main function in here. So if I'm adding main function in here, if I have any parameters like x or y or any variables, I have to mention the variables inside. If I don't have anything, I can just leave it like this. Okay, and for defining a main function, you need to define in this way, define main. Okay, then you need to get into the next line, and you need to add all your codes and all your normal functions like that. And for performing this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do some normal stuff. So I'll just print, and I will add hey, how are you? Okay, so I've just added a simple printing up function, right? And what I'll do, I'm gonna run this function now. So run simple function. So hey, how are you? It is returning now. And what I want, and one more function in here, I can call the functions from another function. That also I can do in this one, right? So what I'm going to do, I will be calling, and I'll be creating another function. So for another function, I need to create another function anywhere. You can add in here, you can add in here, anywhere. So I'm just creating in here define, and the function name should be welcome. Okay, the function name I'm adding it as welcome, and in here I'm not going to add anything, so I'll just add in this way. And in this one, I'm going to add print, and hey, again hey, welcome to learn Python. Okay, so I've just mentioned in this way, and now I'm going to call this function in here. So how I can call this? So I'll just need to type welcome. That's it. So what will happen? It will automatically call that function, and it will execute the code in here. Okay, let's try now how it looks. Run simple function, and can you see it is successfully completing? And we need to know how it is working, right? Let's get into the debugger, and we can do. So I'll just drop my breakpoint in here, and then I'll do. So just run your debugger in here, and we'll check one by one. Okay, so now I'll go to the next step. So this is the next function it is calling after that, and then it is calling this function, and then it will return. Okay, so that's how our function works. Simple function works by calling two different functions. Okay, you can perform the various arithmetical operations also. You can call any, you can introduce a variable into it. How we can do that? So that's very simple. Instead of welcome in here, I'm going to rename this into some arithmetic operations. Okay, so 1 second, let me close our debugger stuff in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this function from welcome into some operations. I'm going to create some operations, and in here what I'll do, in the place of welcome, I need to rename it, right? We don't have any welcome function anymore. And in the place of sum, I need to introduce two variables, x, y. Why? Because without any variables, our functions, some functions need variables, right? So that's why. And in here what I'm going to do, I'll introduce one more variable. So sum equaled, and instead of sum, result equaled x plus y. Okay, and then in here I'll add print the result is, in here I'll add dot format result. Okay, so our work is done in here and everything is set, and I need to add two values in here. Okay, so if I add any values, I can add 2 and comma 3, and I can add one more function also sum. I can add one more another variables also 4 comma 8, like this. So what if I just run this now? Let's see what happens. Can you see the result is 5 and the result is 12. The very first, it just executed, it just printed the hi, how are you, and sum 2 3 and sum 4 8. So it will just replace the first value into the x and second value into the y, and it will execute and it will call upon the result, and it will store it in here, and it will go back in here, and it will display the main function. Okay, so everything, your main function holds every function, every calling functions. Okay, so you need to call every other functions from your main function, and this one is used to call your main function. Okay, so this is how your work with normal basic functions, that you need to how to call functions, how you block of codes. Functions is nothing but a block of codes that you can use to call various functions. Okay, and the next thing we're going to see in here is variables, global variables and local variables. So how we can define a global variable and a local variable? So I can add in here, so x equal 10. If I just add it up in here in this way, what will happen? This x equal to 10 is only defined in this block. It will not work in here. Okay, for example, let me remove all these functions, and I'll just remove this variables also. I'm not going to use this arithmetic operations x and y. Okay, and if I just go cancel everything, if I type x, it will not work. I've mentioned in here x equal to 10, it will print this, but it will not print this. So I need to call this function, right? Sorry, I need to call this function. Sorry, once again, my bad, really. I need to call this function, then only it will print out this x, right? So I've mentioned x in here. Let's check it out, and it will return me an error. See, it is printing out hey, how are you, but it's not printing out the x. Why? Because it is defined as a local variable, and if you want, it will, this variable works only within this function. It will not be suitable, it will not take this x as a value, x as a x variable into the next function. Okay, so how do we do call this x value into this also? You can introduce your variable x equal to 10 in here. So if you do in this way, definitely it will work. It will or it may not work. Okay, so what are you going to do for that? So just let's run it, let's check it is working or not. Fortunately it works in this way, but sometimes it will not work. So for that, what you need to do, you need to introduce it like this, global x. Okay, so when you introduce in this way, definitely it will take any time, anywhere, it will work for sure. Okay, why? Because you are introducing the x variable as a global variable, and this time it will work for sure without any error. Previously it worked for us, and now also it will work. Okay, so this is how you do call main functions and introduce a main function and sub functions, and introduction of sub functions into the main functions. Okay, so it's very easy, and this is how you will start creating your main function, and without this you can't call main functions. This is the main property that you're calling the main functions. It will call in here, and it will go step by step, and it will see another function, and it will call this one, and it will print out the x. Okay, so the step-by-step procedure. If you are very unclear, if you're not clear with this stuff, definitely your debugger will help with that, and you just need to drop anywhere breakpoint, just drop breakpoint anywhere and try debugger, and definitely it will help to easily understand step-by-step proceedings of your program. Okay, so this is how function works, and next thing we need to see in our today's session is lambda expressions. Okay, so what is this lambda expressions? So lambda expressions are nothing but it's a very simple one. So I just need to create a function and I need to call it. Okay, so instead of going in this, I'll just quickly go on with my Ubuntu machine, because performing the functions in console is very easy. Certain things is very easy when you go on with text editors. Okay, so okay, one second. Okay, I have this in here. So what I need to do, I'm going to create a normal function and the lambda. The differences between a lambda and a normal function is very small, and certain things, if your program didn't go well with your functions, calling up functions, that time you can go on with lambda functions. That works very well sometimes. Okay, so defining up of functions, op operations, and I can call any variables. Okay, in this way. And what I'm going to do, I'm just calling a function in here and I'm returning the value. Okay, so returning the value, and that when returning the value, I'm just going to multiply or add anything with that x values. Okay, so enter, everything is done. And now what I'll do, I'll just operation or op, and I'll add any values. So if I just add 5, it is returning me 7. So if I just add 2, it will return me in value 4. Okay, so that's how you define values, and you are giving variables for that, and it is executing. This is how your function works. And lambda expressions are little bit difficult. That not difficult, it's different, quite different. How we do this, it's op1, and how we're going to do. So lambda, I'm just creating a new function with lambda and x. Okay, and then I'll just simply go on with my arithmetic expression. This is very simple, right? And I need to give op and then any value that I want, op1 actually. Okay, so this one will do its work properly. So both are like same, but when it comes to normal functions, we need to define functions, and in lambda we don't have to do like that. So same things we can do with lambda and normal functions also. Okay, so that's it for in here with functions and local variables and global variables, and we can go on with other topics in today's session. The next topic we have in our today's session, the final topic, is very important one. Okay, so what's the topic we have in here is we have finished functions and we have files and storage. Okay, so in files and storage we have try and exceptions to play with files and to play with fundamental errors, and we have read and write options that we can play with files in a storage device or wherever you mention some files. Okay, so let me open a new file and we'll start with try and exceptions. Okay, so what is this try and exceptions? I've just created a new file and I need a main function, and in the main function I'm gonna create a main function in here, and in this main function I'm gonna define a main function, and then I'll be adding lots of files in here and whatever the necessary things that I can go. So this try and exception functions are used to return in case some error or crashing happens with your applications. Okay, so what will happen if in case if you have if your application has crashed without letting you know what kind of error it is, then it's not a good way, that your application is not built in a very well way. So what I have to do sorry for that, you need to have your application should catch the errors and return you some kind of error information in the front end, so that a user can identify what he is facing. Okay, so in case if I've just mentioned in here any kind of files and I need to open that file, so let me create a file in here, new file, and just add test.txt. Okay, I've just created a new file, and what is that, try and exceptions. Okay, so in that file, in this file, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call that file and read I'm just giving the name as read and open. Okay, I just want to open a file, and the file should be test.txt. okay, test.txt, and I need to open that file for reading. Okay, so I'll be giving the reading permissions in here. So my program is in here is to open the file and to read that file. Okay, after it is opening, it should return me print the file can be opened. Okay, so this is what I want in that file. So this is how your program runs. Let me just right click it and run this program. Okay, and it is returning me an error, but we don't know what error it is. Okay, and in case if your file can't open that test.txt file, and you should return if there is no test.txt file, how it will open the file and how it will do the rest of the program. And in that case, sorry, I just mentioned 2 double quotes in here, and I think this will work now. Okay, sorry, I didn't call the main functions here, so we made a mistake in this one. Now just run try exceptions, and it opened that file and it just added that line. Okay, and what we're going to do, I just need to verify that line is added up in here in this file or not. Open this file, it is not in that one because we didn't add into that file. We just open that file, sorry, print function print function. And what I'm going to do, in case if your test.txt is not there, let me delete it and we'll check it out how and what will happen. Okay, so I've just deleted it, and if I run this file again, it will return me an error because it can't open that file. There is no such file, and that's why it is returning an error. And in case if I need to have an error, if I need to catch that error, I'm going to use this try an exception. If there is a function try read open this one, if that doesn't work, and then it will go for except. Okay, and except IOE error, so input output error functionality. Okay, so I've just added this one now, and now it will print it out the file can't be no, there is no such file. Okay, now just run this file and it will try to open that file. If it can't open that file, it will return me an error. Okay, and it returned me an error. I think I'm missing something. Let me check it once. Let me close that file, I think so, and read dot close. Okay, so that's it, and let me try this now. Indentation error. So I've just changed the code. I have made some mistakes. I've missed that was missing this colon, and I forget to close this file, and we have to close the file every time that when we use this read and write options with the files. Okay, so that's what I was missing there at that time, and if this I redid it now, and now you can see it will try to open that file. If there is no such file, if there is a file, it will return me that the file can be opened. If there is no such file, it will return me an error, there is no such file. Okay, so if there was a file like test.txt, it was working there perfectly first, and now it was not there, I deleted it, now it is returning me there is no such file. Okay, so this is how we work with try and exception to catch up the errors and value errors, all these functionalities that we can play with the files. And storage systems, we have read and write. So here we have already seen the read one. So this is how you do read the particular file, and if there is a file print test.txt, and that will definitely print it out in here. Okay, for example, let me create a new file in here and read test.txt. okay, So I've just created a file test.txt and I'm typing in here, hey welcome. Okay, I've just added in here, hey welcome. And what I did in here, I wrote a small program in here for the read functionality. So I've just created a test file in here, and that file contains hey welcome, simply a string. Okay, and I tried opening that file test.txt with read functionality, and for a line in read file, for each line it will print a line, that line. Okay, and I just close the file, and if there is no file there, and it will return there is no such file. Okay, that's why we have seen already in our exception and try scenarios, and I've just added with that the read functionality is also in here. Okay, so let me run this one, and when I try to run this one, and you can see this hey welcome, it got displayed in here. In case if there is no such files, it will definitely return me an error. Okay, so what error? It will obviously return there is no such file. Okay, if I just want to write it, if I want to write something, okay, so if I want to write something into that file, and what I need to add, what I need to edit in here in this file now in here. Okay, and that's it. And now I will just right click it and run try exceptions. Okay, let's check it out, our test file. Hey, this is the Python course, right? We have just added that line with our file. Hey, this is a Python course. This is how we add. So if I just want to add any files into that, I can add one more line, and I can add that thing into a new line. I just need to use a append, and at this time I will be appending each line to new line. So if I just try this exceptions one, now go for test, and can you see this? It added a new line. So if I just click one more time, let's try this now, and it is adding another line. So this is how we add another line, appending already. If we have a file already, we can append anything by using a. If you are using w, that will overwrite the file which is already having there, and you can use read for reading some files. This session is very, very important when we go on with penetration testing development of tools. We will use lots of read write functionalities when we go on for keyloggers, for scanning purpose, lots of functionalities we will use it with these through to read and write. Okay, so that's what we made in here. I will just go on once again what we did. I've just created a main function, and just called the main function, and I used try and except read and write. So if I just go on with read, it will read only the file, and it will return the file. And if I just go with write, it will overwrite the already made file with our new text. And if I just add a, it will add up new line into another line. Okay, so you should always close the file. Once you open or close or write or anything, whatever you did, you have to close the file. And this try and exception, it's for exceptional handling of your errors. So when you try to catch the errors, if there is an error, if it can't find the files, and it will automatically skip to this step, and it will return this error that you have mentioned. Okay, so that's how we do play with files and storage systems, and that's what we have today in today's session, today's topic. And see you again in another session tomorrow. Stay back and stay tuned and learn with us. Thank you.